Hunting for Answers is a production of the Black Effect Podcast Network and iHeartRadio. Welcome to Hunting for Answers, a true crime podcast. I'm your host, Hunter, and today we're highlighting a Chicago murder case that took 3 agonizing years to solve. On March 1st, 2017, a 21-year-old woman left a Southside lounge and vanished into the night. 2 days later, her body was discovered in a trash can in an alley, beaten to death. The most chilling part of this story isn't just the brutal murder. It's the alleged secret recording that revealed the killer's own confession and how the system's failures allowed him to kill again while detectives waited for DNA results. This 3-year fight for justice would expose the deadly consequences of cracks in the system. This is the story of Diamond Turner. Diamond Turner was just 21 years old when her life was cut short in March 2017. She was a young woman trying to navigate life on Chicago's South Side, where violence against women had become an epidemic that authorities seemed powerless to stop. To understand just how deep Diamond's case goes, you need to know this sobering fact. Since 2001, more than 50 women had been found killed by strangulation or asphyxiation in Chicago. The murders paused briefly in 2014 and then started happening again in 2017 and 2018. Almost all of them have remained unsolved. Diamond's case would become the only one where an arrest was made since then. On the night of March 1st, 2017, Diamond was last seen leaving Red's Lounge on South Stony Island Avenue. She had no way of knowing that this would be the last time anyone would see her alive. Diamond's aunt, LaToya Turner, described Diamond as a beautiful young lady who had so much to live for. She wasn't just a victim in a tragic crime. She was a vibrant soul full of life, always smiling and always caring deeply for those around her. Diamond's family remembers her as someone who loved her family and friends deeply and had big dreams and a bright future ahead. She was known for her kindness and the joy she brought into any room. March 3rd, 2 days after Diamond left Red's Lounge, a garbage collector made a horrifying discovery while working his route in the 7300 block of South Kenwood Avenue. Inside a trash can in the alley, he found the body of Diamond Turner. The autopsy results painted a picture of extreme violence. Diamond had been beaten to death with a large hammer and then dumped like garbage in that Southside alley. The brutality of her murder sent shockwaves through the community and her family, who were left searching for answers about who could have done such a thing to their loved one. But even as the investigation began, one man was already drawing attention from both police and Diamond's family. His name was Arthur Hilliard, and he claimed to be Diamond's boyfriend. Arthur Hilliard was 52 years old, a father of 5, and a career criminal with a lengthy record. He lived in a shared apartment with 3 roommates, and it was in this apartment that suspicion first began to surround him. On the night Diamond disappeared, Hilliard's roommates witnessed something disturbing. In the middle of the night, they claimed that they saw Hilliard mopping up a trail of blood that led from his bedroom to the back door of the apartment. The next morning, they claimed that they saw him sitting on his bed, methodically cleaning a hammer. When confronted about Diamond's disappearance, Hilliard tried to deflect suspicion onto one of his other roommates, claiming that this person was responsible for what he called the, quote, sledgehammer murder. But Diamond's family wasn't buying his story. They knew Hilliard was hiding something, and they were determined to get to the truth. What happened next is one of the most extraordinary parts of this case. In 2017, while police were still investigating, Diamond's family took matters into their own hands. They secretly recorded Arthur Hilliard as he spoke about the night Diamond died. He had no idea that he was being recorded when he began to allegedly describe the crime in vivid, chilling detail. On that secret recording, Hilliard's voice can be heard saying, "I'm going to give you the whole story. I ain't never seen nothing like this in my whole life except on TV." He went on to describe how his supposed girlfriend, Diamond, had died in his apartment. But perhaps most damning of all, he told them exactly where to find the murder weapon. "Just open the basement door," Hilliard said on the recording. "You're going to go to that corner. Right behind that is the murder weapon, a big sledgehammer." Diamond's family now had an alleged confession, and they had the location of the murder weapon. They took this evidence to police, expecting swift justice. Instead, they would face 3 years of waiting. Despite having the recording with Hilliard detailing the confession, Chicago police said they still didn't have DNA evidence before they could charge him. This is where the cracks in the system began to unravel. Chicago police stated that they don't have their own lab to analyze DNA. They have to rely on the state, which had a significant backlog of cases. While Diamond's family waited for justice, Arthur Hilliard remained free, and he continued to kill. In September 2018, a year and a half after Diamond's murder, Hilliard was involved in another homicide. Andra Williams was stabbed to death and left in a shopping cart on the west side of Chicago. Hilliard later pleaded guilty to concealing this homicide and was later sentenced to less than a year in jail. Think about that for a moment. While police waited for DNA results in Diamond's case, Hilliard killed again, and he was back on the streets in under a year. The waiting continued. Chicago police received the state's latest DNA report in March 2019 and issued a warrant for Hilliard's arrest in October of that year. But Hilliard was on the run for a probation violation, and it took months to track him down. Meanwhile, he allegedly was killing again. In 2019, prosecutors say Hilliard was involved in a third murder, another stabbing attack during an argument. By the time Hilliard was finally captured and charged with Diamond's murder in January 2020, he was suspected in the deaths of at least 3 people. Diamond's aunt, LaToya Turner, expressed the family's frustration. If he went to jail March 3rd when we told them that he killed Diamond and we got all the evidence, he wouldn't have gotten the chance to kill these extra 2 people. When Arthur Hilliard finally appeared in court on January 30th, 2020, the evidence against him was overwhelming. There was the secret recording of his confession. There was the blood trail from his apartment. There was a witness who saw him cleaning the hammer believed to be the murder weapon. And finally, there were the DNA results that had taken so long to process. Cook County Associate Judge Mary Mar Rubio denied bond for Hilliard, noting all of this evidence. He was charged with first-degree murder in Diamond's death, and prosecutors made it clear they suspected him in at least 2 other killings. For Diamond's family, this moment brought a mixture of relief and, of course, continued pain. As they told the press, It's been 3 long years of agony and pain for our family. But justice is finally about to be served. Our family can now be at peace. We will never get Diamond back, but at least now we have closure. But the story of Diamond Turner's case is about more than just one murder. It's about systemic failures that have deadly consequences. The 3-year delay in charging Hilliard wasn't just an administrative inconvenience. It was a failure that has since cost lives. Chicago Police Interim Superintendent Charlie Beck acknowledged the problem, but for Diamond's family, it was too little, too late. The case also highlights another troubling reality: the epidemic of violence against women in Chicago. The sheer number of unsolved cases is devastating, with impacts that ripple through entire communities. It means dozens of killers remain free, and dozens of families are still left waiting for answers. Diamond Turner is a young woman who deserved so much more than the violence that ended her life. Her family's courage and their persistence ultimately led to justice, but it came at a terrible cost. Diamond's case serves as a very important reminder that justice delayed is not justice denied. My thoughts and prayers are with the family and friends of Diamond Turner, Andra Williams, and all of the victims and people impacted by Arthur Hilliard's alleged crimes. Anyone with information about any unsolved murders in Chicago should contact the Chicago Police Department. You can find their contact information in the description box below. As we close out this episode, don't forget to click the follow button to stay updated on cases like Diamond's. Be sure to subscribe to Hunting for Answers on YouTube and follow us on Instagram and TikTok for more true crime content and case updates. If you're watching us on YouTube, drop your thoughts on this case in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for joining us on another episode. Until next time. Hunting for Answers is a production of the Black Effect Podcast Network. For more podcasts from the Black Effect Podcast Network, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.